What's up, everybody? This is the first ever Allow Media live stream. I'm with Doc May Diet, the host of the Doc May Diet podcast, produced by Allow Media. Is doing an amazing job, incredible insight on health. And I'm with Dave, the 11-time guest. The 11-time
show up there.
11-time guest on the Sean Lauer Show podcast, one of my best friends, great conversation person, and we are trying something new today. So I've done 120 episodes of my podcast, the Sean Lauer Show. We brought on Doc May Diet, B-May here, and the show is something new. Allow Media is basically going to be I want it to be like hire talent, bring in people, write blogs, write content. Not necessarily like Barstool as far as sports, but the same model where it's like a content business where a bunch of people are bringing together opinions. And that's kind of the vision for Allow Media. And this show's our first test run. We're doing a contest. And if you are here for the contest, we're doing a $500 giveaway. And there's many ways to enter. And on the email list, we got thousands of people that have signed up. So we're off to a good start. And what we're doing today is something that the same format that me and Dave over there, I call him Hecker and B-Man, that's what I call him, is the same format. And we're just going to have a fun conversation. We're all going to bring a news story at the end. And then we're each going to discuss something that is a vague topic. Best days. And we can each take it any way we want to do it. And have some fun with it, have some conversation. So how are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Great,
Excited.
dude. I know. I've been thinking about days for days now.
How did this topic come to be?
Well, me and Dave were talking about it. We just came up with something vague that we can interpret any way we want.
Okay.
We had talked about it for one of the podcasts a couple of months ago, and it was just like in an idea boneyard, but we never really thought about it more than, I don't know. It just seemed like something that was apt to expand on. And like, what better time than now? I feel like we're getting into like at least my favorite time of year. So what better time to talk about like the best days?
Okay.
A lot of them are ahead of us. At least a lot of them are on my list.
All right. Do you want to start?
Me?
Hecker?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, best day.
If this was like a draft, I think this would be like the 1-1 overall. Chalk pick would be a snow day. I think snow day,
Snow day.
Like growing up, nothing better than something about a snow day, like opposed to a weekend or a holiday, any other day off, just was like completely different. Because not only do you have like the snow activities, but you're like the night before, you're looking at the forecast, like so excited, watching the news. You're like, isn't it? You wake up super early, like turn on the TV, wait for your school district to show up, and then like just hearing the word snow day makes me just so excited.
The worst thing
me,
was if you wanted a snow day, but it turns into be a 2-hour delay, and you're like,
Yeah.
Well, the worst thing is if it just doesn't snow. But a 2-hour delay is like such a buzzkill because you're like,
yeah, it's a buzzkill.
By the time you wake
go
up,
to
you're like,
school.
well, I'm already up.
What would
2
you
hours
prefer?
is like so insignificant.
Would you prefer a half day or a 2-hour delay?
Either way, it's not the same.
Probably
as
a half
snow
day, actually. Yeah, it's not the same.
Half day's exciting. Half day's exciting.
Yeah, half day's really exciting. But the half days you typically know that it's there. So like a 2-hour delay, at least there's some relief when you wake up. A half day, you're like, ooh, I see this on the calendar like 2-3 weeks in advance. Let's start planning the football game or hockey, whatever we're gonna do for that.
True.
For those couple extra hours.
Well, I was thinking a half day due to snow. Like it started to snow. You got to school, then it started
Early
coming
dismissal.
down. Early dismissal is more aptly put. Yeah.
I think it all depends when you find out. And that's the thing about a snow day. You don't find out till the morning. So you wake up, and that's the best thing is when you get to go back to bed. Like I used to on the weekends in high school, I was so bad at waking up early. I would set my alarm clock sometimes on the weekend just to get up and then go right back to bed. Because every day during the week, I'd want to go back to bed. And it's a great feeling. And a snow day is even more than that because you get out of bed. You know there was a chance. You check the news. It's like the lottery drawing. It's on the bottom of the screen and it's showing all the school districts. You see your school district and you're just like, yes. And in high school, I'd probably go back to bed. And when I was probably younger, I'd probably go play in the snow. But
and then in college, when you get to college, it becomes just like a drink fest, snowball fight.
I think every stage of life it's amazing though, because even in like college or in high school, like sure you go back to sleep, but then you wake up and like the boys can like do whatever, get into shenanigans that night. In college, obviously, you have the whole day to do with what you remember. I think it was 2010, maybe 2009 in Westchester. They like preemptively canceled an entire week of classes because snow was in the forecast. That was something that was completely different. But I think a snow day always plays. So
yeah, if you're listening, we all did go to college together, and I remember this one specific snow day in college where, dude, this was reckless. I don't know if you guys were there or not, but we were throwing snowballs at cars like as hard as we could. And we thought it was kind of harmless, but looking back at it, it was very dangerous, like to the cars. Like we were just chucking them and we were like, ha, it's funny, it's snow, but it was like a baseball. And yeah, that was so fun though. And then one guy turned around, got out of his car and started screaming at us. And
he's probably right, enough. But
he was definitely right.
Did it too.
That would be us like today.
Exactly. I was going to say in 10 years, we'll get hit with a snowball and we'll pay it forward by screaming at some kids. And then
I'd probably just keep going. I just keep going if I get hit by a snowball because
depends on the day.
You'd pretend that you were on the joke. It's just the guys.
All right. Snow day though.
That's pretty good.
Agree. It's a good one.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on. Dave, you're is Laura? No, she's a nurse. I thought she was a teacher, but
nurse practitioner.
Right. My girlfriend's a teacher, and snow days might not be a thing anymore because they can just go virtual. But at the same time, like kids like in Florida never had a snow day, so like it does suck, but it's not like
but kids in Florida also like always get nice weather. Like there's something about growing up where it snows, where like that's true. Part of.
I grew up in Syracuse, New York. It's one of the snowiest cities, and we did not have a lot of snow days because they were prepped for it. The trucks, they were prepared. When it even has a little bit of snow where I live now in Charleston, like everything shuts down, and it's different. So if you're in a city where it snows a lot, they're more prepared. So in Florida or something, it might be even more exciting. But you're right about the virtual because now the schools have adapted to the virtual.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good one. B-May, all right, what's your first one? Your best day.
All right, so obviously this is a very like interpretable question in many different ways. So it took a little differently. Went back in time a little bit. July 2nd, 1776.
Oh, was, a little history.
Yeah, the day that everybody agreed we voted on to accept the Declaration of Independence. 12 of the 13 colonies. New York actually didn't vote because they were still waiting for like word from like Albany. Like the delegates hadn't heard because obviously there were cell phones back then. They were going to vote yes, but July 2nd was the day that we decided that we were no longer part of the British Empire, independent. And then obviously people think July 4th is like when all the signing happened, and like historians don't really know. It actually could have been August 2nd that like most of the signing happened. Yeah. There's like a lot of debate about that. So when I was researching, I was like, all right, I'll just pick July 2nd because that's when like the vote to like actually go forward with it. July 4th, like the final draft was accepted, but I don't think they actually signed it. Some people like argue it wasn't until like August 2nd. So,
when you look back at like history, we've learned about it, but imagine in the real time, dude, it's very, of course, it's a rebellion, but rebellious. Like the easiest thing to do. The people that like the status quo don't want to cause any ruckus or create any issues. They probably weren't down for this. They're like, come on, man, British. Like there are rulers. Like a lot of people didn't want to do it.
They're right. Shut up,
Like most powerful nation like in the world at the time, like most powerful navy. Like it's just like the fact that we actually did that. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, dude, I love. Oh my god, I love the history of America. I go through obsessions with it.
Like you said that the 4th is when the final draft. Like, what's the difference between the like penultimate draft and that final draft? Were they making grammatical errors? Were they making significant changes? Seriously, this is like because since then, they're like, do you think they thought like, all right, for the next at least several hundred years, this is going to be like the doctrine to. Or I guess that's more the Constitution, but at least this is going to go down in history as like maybe
they probably had that. Yeah, they probably had that mindset, but at the same time, like it could have been over like 10 months later. Like that could have been like a little artifact, and we'd all be sipping tea right now.
Right, like a cute little story that happened once. Yeah. But it was the Declaration of Independence. Yeah.
It's funny to think about like the drafts because they weren't deciding laws. This wasn't like a constitutional convention. This was like, how do we word this just right to tell these guys that we're gonna tell them to piss off and like do our own thing. And it took, they like had like different drafts and they were changing. Oh no!
What are the lines we know from the Declaration of Independence? All men are created equal. Is that
that's Constitution?
That's the Constitution. The Constitution is much more important as far as governing. The Declaration of Independence was just exactly what it is. Declaration of Independence.
Right.
Dude, and that started a war. Like I went through a stage where I memorized all the presidents and not Abe Lincoln. What's his name? George Washington. His presidency didn't start till 1781 because there was a war for 5 years. This was before the war. This was before the fighting. And dude,
this is the Declaration of War.
A Declaration of War. A Declaration of War. Dude, I'm so happy that they did that because, and want to know what I always think about when I think about America is we got so lucky that got this body of water in between us, and we got to learn from all the old. There's been humanity for a while, back to the Romans, who did a pretty good job, but we got to learn from all the mistakes. We got to learn from all the mistakes of the other people.
Right. Yeah, I don't think the Declaration was that long. I think it pretty much just like laid out their reasons. Like, here's why. Like, fuck you, King. Like, we're out of here. Like, taxes with our business. Like, it was like a list of reasons, and then like signatures at the bottom, and I was like, all right, we're out.
Right. Yeah. And this person says that it's amazing that we even won. It was
true.
Oh, yeah. Like David versus Goliath type of story. I mean, we had home turf.
France was big.
France and England hate each other, so they helped us. And dude, I mean, imagine losing a war like from the British side and having to just admit that, after people are dying. Losing a war is the worst thing. The worst thing. It's like, good luck.
I have a theory. It probably has absolutely no scientific backing to it, but like obviously throughout COVID, there was a lot of Americans who were like rebelling against like the lockdowns and the rules and everything. Like everybody's like rebelling against their governor. Like here in Pennsylvania, everybody wanted like Tom Wolf's head like on a stake. And part of me is thinking like, all right, like we all should like obviously obey and like public health matters, but like as part of the reason that like America was like so like non-compliant, is it in our blood to rebel?
It's in our blood to rebel. And that's not even like a puffy thing. Literally every single American, somebody in their gene line made a decision.
Left, right?
Yeah, to leave. A lot of them came in the 1800s after that, but whether it be England, France, Eastern Europe, people had to make that journey to get here. And that genetic decision making was made by people who are kind of wild to make that trek over the Atlantic Ocean. And every single American has in their bloodline somebody recently who made that crazy decision. So literally, I think is in our blood. Now, the argument against that would be slavery.
That didn't choose that.
Yeah, right. So
yeah,
not everyone, but they also survived it and went through a lot of hardship and everything like that. But they still made the trip. Someone in their ancestry still had to have at least the immune system and health to survive going across the ocean. But not everyone. Slavery is our big black eye in the history. But we're a cool country.
All right, Sean, what's your day?
No idea.
All right, I got a few different routes. I had a historic one. But I'm going to go with this one. So the Allow Media audience, we know a lot of them like sports, and we all love sports. And I put just the first day of football season. I mean, it changes weekends. Now, I have been on the record saying that as I've gotten older, I'm more of a business person. I don't like to obsess over watching football on the weekends because it's a waste of time. But I still do fantasy football with all my friends. It's a way to keep in touch. I can check the scores rather than watching the games. But just that first weekend where I love Notre Dame football, they're back. And then on Sundays, it's just your whole day. It's like Thursday, and then there might be a game Friday, and then Saturday. And if you love football, when the football season starts,
it's like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I had the conference championship Sunday, which is essentially the same thing. Those are two games that like you'll watch the entire thing. You're not going to obviously watch Red Zone because
What do you mean? What do you mean the conference championship?
Like conference
NFC versus
championship
AFC.
Sunday. The two conference championship games are on the same day. And those are two like huge games. So it's kind of the same idea. It's not football all day, but it's the two basically biggest games outside of the Super Bowl. And it's the same idea. Like I would prefer to watch two great games to win the championship than I would, 16 game ones. But the fact that like the first day of the season kicks off for the next 6 months, you're gonna have football every
so many people
5 out of 7 days a week.
Love football, and that's probably so exciting for him. I'm thinking if I went from college, like Sean O'Neal, just like let's go the Eagles and everything, and it like sets your social schedule for people who love football. It sets everything. You set your time around it, everything that you do. And my actually favorite sporting event though is the NBA playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs. I don't know why. Just basketball is my favorite sport, and there's like more games, and I love the NBA playoffs. That's not a day though. That's why I was trying to bring sports into it.
That first Saturday when there's like 4 or 5 games on, like 1 o'clock, 3:30, 6:30, 8:30, and sometimes even like a 10:30. That day is pretty cool.
And if you're going down that road, then like the first day of March Madness would probably be the day. Like I had that on my list, but it's kind of all in the same vein, right?
March Madness is different because the games are during the day,
and they're like boom, boom. It's all day, and they're just rapid fire.
I remember this one time my grandma took me out of school because Syracuse. I lived in Syracuse, and they were playing, and she said I was sick, but she let me go watch the games. It was awesome. It's just like
Hecker, you said that one of your days was Championship Sunday.
It was, yeah. Like that. Okay. I'm not going to say that now, but that was on the list. I had to. Yeah, I had some backups, but yeah, and it was the same idea. I figured some football day would have to come up.
Since we're on that, we'll get to my day number 2 then, while we're still on sports. And obviously, I agree with your take that, like growing up, I watched sports like every single sport, every single night, and like I knew all like the rosters, I knew everybody who's playing, and eventually you're like, all right, how is this really serving me? Like,
exactly.
This like not serving me at all. Like I need to be focused on other things. But like the one thing that I like never cut out was the Eagles. I like put all my energy, like all my eggs in that basket, and everybody loves the first day of Sunday or the first day of football because like everybody's 0-0. They have a chance to win the championship. Like you're excited. So what can be better than the day that your team actually wins the championship? So my second day was when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I think we actually have some video of right after that happened. I was lucky enough to be in Philly. There's a story behind that, but let's play the video first.
All right.
So literally standing on top of a SEPTA station, like right in front of City Hall. It was perfect timing because I was in between jobs. I had just like left my first job in Arkansas. It was a terrible experience for me. Like I was down, like I hated where I was living, and like the Eagles that year were awesome, and like that was like the one thing I had to hold on to. And then Carson Wentz gets hurt, and I'm just like crushed. I'm just like, there is no God. Like my life sucks. Like this, like we're screwed. And then like that Super Bowl run just like came out of nowhere, and I was able to just like go out every night, like party. Like I was like not starting my job until the next week, so like everything just like coalesced in like perfect timing. And yeah, I mean, whatever. It's just sports, but like that championship like meant a lot because not only was it like the first one ever, but like it was good timing for me in my life as well.
For sure. I mean, that was I'm speechless remembering that day. It's crazy to think about. Like the NFC Championship game obviously ended up being a blowout. But do you remember the divisional game when they played the Falcons? And like the Eagles probably should have lost that game. Like later in the game, I think it was third quarter, Nick Foles overthrew Torrey Smith, and it was a sure pick. Should have been a pick. And then
right before halftime. Yeah.
Safety like jumped up for some reason. It ended up hitting his knee, and Torrey Smith caught it. And I think the Eagles get points on that drive.
And they got a field goal, yeah.
And then they ended up they won by I don't know. It was a one. I know it was a 1-score game. I think they won by like 3 or 4. But
I think it was 4. Yeah, I think it was 4.
I mean, what a day that was.
Hecker, on my podcast, when we did the same format, we had the topic was biggest anomalies, and you said the Eagles winning the Super Bowl that year was such an anomaly because it really was
out of nowhere.
It was random. It was so random, and you would think, oh wow, they didn't even have their star player. They didn't even. And now this is going to be a dynasty, and it didn't really play out like that.
No, definitely didn't. But that was part of the magic. That was part of the magic of the run, because I think if Wentz was playing, I would have been like so nervous during every game, but like I didn't expect anything. So every game I was just like, whatever happens, happens. And like that ends. And I actually have fonder memories of the NFC Championship, I think, than the Super Bowl, because like that just came out of completely nowhere.
I know.
Yeah.
After the Vikings scored in their first drive, I think probably when obviously the Case Keenum pick 6 was big, but then when Chris Long strip sacked them and they turned the ball over and then the Eagles went down to score, it's like, all right, this seems to be like, after that point, the game was never in question. The Eagles had all the momentum. The link was rocking. It was like, you couldn't have asked for a better team.
Yeah. That team just caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, for me, that team's Notre Dame football. It is on the sports topic. I mean, I love sports, and the one thing I do is I always check the standings and the stats, just because it's an easy way to stay informed without having to spend the time to watch the games. But I always think it's funny to think about somebody who, like, Eagles lost. This fucking week is ruined. This week is ruined. Like, letting it affect you like that much.
That used to be me, honestly. When I was younger, that was me.
Are you telling me? I mean, you alluded to this, B-May, but the day after the Eagles played the Rams that year, when Wentz got hurt, like the entire city was like in a funk. Even though they had just won, they were like 11-1 at that point. It was like,
because he was the MVP that year. Yeah.
Carson Wentz. I mean, we're kind of going off topic a little bit, but we're talking about sports, like, and I love the story of Carson Wentz. Just because it's a mental. It's so mental. I mean, he has the physical skills. He clearly displayed them. What happened there? I mean, Philly. I mean, Ben Simmons.
You could argue.
Along the line of Ben Simmons as well.
Yeah. Why does Philly have so many mental, like, athlete problems? Like, we have Carson Wentz. We have Ben Simmons. Nelson Aguilar, like, just couldn't catch the ball. There's got to be like faults. There's got to be like, what is it with like Philly that's against their heads?
Part of it is like the notion that everyone has, which may be right, may be wrong, but like people think that Philly is like, you're going to hell to play there. Like, it's so difficult to play there. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy where, like, because that's the case, once you start struggling, you're like, oh God. And then you fall into this funk where you're Markelle Fultz or you're Ben Simmons, or you can't shoot the ball, or you have a wide open dunk and Trae Young's 4 feet away from you and you pass the ball and you can't shoot, you never shoot the ball. It's just people like psych themselves out. But there's no better city to be a superstar, especially like a guy like Dawkins or AI, where you wear your heart on your sleeve and you're like a grinder and you work hard. Then no other city's going to love you like Philly does. But if you're like soft or you're mentally not there, then you'll get cast aside. So I'm sure it's hard to play here, but it's part of the job, man. Like, the people that Philly would want to be here are the folks that like want to succeed in the hardest environment and like really understand like the city itself and that like they're hard on me because they want the best, and so do I. So I'm not going to take it personally.
Yep.
For people who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I live in Charleston, South Carolina now, but Hacker's in Philly, B-May's in Philly. That's our college was around Philly. Philly is an incredibly rowdy city. It's so rowdy. I mean, if you don't know anything else, you might think it's normal. But even to remember when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008 when we were in college, on our campus, a car got flipped over. There was like riots in the streets. Like, Philly just goes straight to like
mayhem,
damage and mayhem and rowdiness. And I mean, that if that's in the psyche, that does touch like a Ben Simmons, just like, fuck this guy. If he was in Cleveland or if he was in Oakland or somewhere calmer, they might be like, okay, we have the star player. He didn't have to play well. But just the rowdiness of like, no, fuck this guy. Like, no, it's like people might be like, if they had a second to think. Yeah.
With Ben Simmons, that's not what happened. Like, it's not like people were like booing him and like aggressively angry towards him when he was playing. It like after the season, he was historically bad in the playoffs, and he has such a skill set, but he's like historically ineffective and just shrinks in the biggest moments. And you can't have him on the court to close out games, and you can't have like one of your best players not be able to rise to the moment. So
he wouldn't even shoot.
But people like Philly still loved him somehow, and then he like all of a sudden he's like, no, I don't want to, like, I'm not going to show up. And now people he's going to be the most hated Philly or athlete of all time. But this season in the playoffs, people weren't tearing him apart.
Well, after that series, they were up. They were up. They were after that series. It was bad, and it just
there were still a lot of people. Yeah, and people.
I don't think it was Philly's fault necessarily that he was shrinking so much. Maybe there's something in the psyche there, but dude, that play I watched it like 100 times. That play where he had an open dunk and he fed it to that one dude that looks like Sideshow Bob from Simpsons.
Danny Green.
No, Thibault, yeah. And he got fouled and made 1 or 2 free throws. Why did he dunk it? Like he's a good shooter. He's a fine shooter. He just I mean,
he's a terrible shooter.
He can dunk it though. He can dunk it.
He can dunk. Yeah. And Giannis is along the same lines. I mean, if you're going to get fouled in the fourth quarter and the free throws are a big issue, that is an issue. And that's probably I think that's the reason why I didn't want to shoot, because if he got fouled, he would have the free throws. Giannis won the championship, man. And I my favorite thing was in the, you know how he would pose at the free throw line for like 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. They would count down. I saw him at the parade. He was on the Milwaukee Bucks championship parade, and he had like a t-shirt he was throwing into the crowd, and he posed like for like 10 seconds. And everyone was laughing. Mm-hmm. Like he made it through that.
Well, he has self-awareness. I don't think Ben Simmons has that.
If that happened to if Ben Simmons had that like hitch in his foul shot where it took and he was getting booed or people were counting down at the foul line, he might retire then. He could never, whereas Giannis like goes down and he shoots the ball. You know what I mean? He doesn't let it affect him. He doesn't care.
He doesn't give a fuck. And that's the thing Philly would love. That's like Iverson never won a championship.
Right.
But he was loved because he just doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck. Like that's the thing you gotta love. And Ben Simmons is dating the Hollywood, trying to be like fancy and suave and Mr. Perfect, and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So and Wentz too. Wentz isn't identical, but I don't know. Philly is a rowdy ass city, and they love their sports.
Tough place to play, but probably like the best city to win. One of the best cities to win, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Like Jason Kelce will always be a legend here.
Right.
There's no better city to win a championship than Philadelphia. But if you're in a shitty team, if you guys suck, then it's probably a tough place to play.
Right.
Yeah. So good luck.
Because we care. Because people care.
Not a lot of championships to even look back and say like who are they all? But yeah, man. All right. So where are we at? Best days. I was last. I said.
I think it's on you, actually. I was last.
B-May just did his second.
All right. I got one. It's random as hell. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know there's much conversation, but the day you get your braces off.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Did you guys
I had that day 3 times.
What?
Really?
The world's worst orthodontist or what?
World's worst dental genetics, I guess. And I actually just posted about this. I guess my mom, like back in when it was like being raised, like she was all on like the baby food, like soft foods, and I guess my jaw wasn't big enough, and like I had all this crowding of my teeth, and like I had to have braces on 3 different times. But you could actually prevent that. So I made a post that like our jaws as a species are getting so much smaller than like our hunter-gatherer skulls. Like back in the day, like our ancient skulls, like they all had like perfect teeth because they're like we couldn't cook food and like chop them up into tiny bits. Yeah, so we were chewing more, and the bone of the jaw, kind of like a muscle, actually remodels the more you chew and the more you move it. So
within a lifetime?
Yeah, within a lifetime. There's actually this thing called mewing, M-E-W-I-N-G. Dr. Mew, he's like an orthodontist. He actually had his orthodontist license removed because he was saying all these things, and he was saying like, you don't need orthodontics, like you don't need braces if you just like raise your child on a proper diet. And like the orthodontist like association like kicked him out because that directly affected their pockets.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a rebel with a cause, and
right.
Yeah, I mean it's a big industry, orthodontics. It's almost like I feel like so you had braces, Hacker? Did you have braces?
Yes, I did once.
I feel like everyone does, and in like 6th, 7th, 8th grades, usually somewhere around there. That is like the stage like everyone just has to go through.
And it's on a rise. Not everybody has to go through it. We didn't go through it back in the day, but due to our modern diets raised on this soft like baby food, that's why it happens.
So if you have a kid and you want them to have straight teeth, what's the play?
Well, you definitely want to use a pacifier, and you want to introduce
yes. Okay.
Yeah. And you want to introduce more solid foods like a little quicker. Like, don't be afraid of it. Like have them chew. Like it might like be tougher because you're like, oh my God, my baby like isn't getting enough food because he or she can't chew it. Or I can't say that either. But the child, he or she, I don't want to make it binary. The child can't chew, but you got to get those teeth moving. You got to get that jaw wider so the teeth have more room to fit so that they don't crowd and we don't have all these orthodontic issues.
You alluded to something earlier. Were you raised on like exclusively baby? Like when you say that you specifically you had like soft foods, did you eat like just baby food until you were like 6, 7, 8?
As far as I mean, not that late, but as far as I know, it was like I was on the Gerber baby plan, whatever that is.
But not until you're like teens, right? You were eating like normal. You were eating like pizza and stuff when you were in. I'm serious.
I just had
said it initially.
I just had a steak for the first time like yesterday.
No, the way you said it earlier was like I was raised on baby food, meaning like your entire adolescence you were eating out of a jar.
When I was a baby.
Okay. He's at middle school lunch. Everyone has like sandwiches. He brings just a baby food and is eating it.
Right.
It's funny. I think you said the Gerber baby plan. I don't know what that is, but I'm imagining it's a plan where Gerber did some promotion to push this plan so they can sell baby food as long as possible.
Right.
And they probably had some very persuasive marketing.
Sugar and everything.
It's a genuine question. Are braces straighten out your teeth? And it definitely makes you look better. Are there any other benefits are there health benefits to braces, or is it purely cosmetic?
I think depending on how bad your situation is, it can be. Like I know you can be born with like certain birth defect. Like if you have a cleft palate, for instance, a lot of times like your mouth can like obstruct breathing. But I think that's pretty severe. B-May might know better than me.
I'm actually starting to learn more about this. Obviously, I didn't learn any of this in my professional training, but the mouth, like it's definitely not just cosmetic. Like there are a lot of serious health issues that can result of poor dental hygiene. Like for one, I know heart attacks are correlated with poor dental hygiene.
Well, that has nothing to do with your teeth being straight.
Right, but he's talking about braces specifically.
Just being straight.
I'm talking about braces specifically because I think it's kind of cosmetic. This is not a stereotype that is untrue. British people, a lot of them do have really crooked teeth, and they're fine. I think they would look so much better if they had them, but it's just cosmetic in my mind. It just looks better.
Yeah, that one I don't know. That's a good question.
Because I think maybe if you have like a underbite, it might over time like push your jaw back, which might affect something. But I just think it's funny that plastic surgery is like, but all of us get straight braces just because we want to look good. And I mean, it works. Yeah. It definitely looks better. Imagine like the hottest chick, perfect body, great face, great personality, but crooked teeth. It's almost like, what are you doing? Get braces. You're like, got one thing left. And I mean, then they might say something, I couldn't afford braces. I don't know what, but dude, I mean, straight teeth look a lot better than crooked teeth.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The day you get them off, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a different feeling. Yeah.
I think I said a couple girls have a crush on me in middle school after like the day after I got them off. Right. It's so shallow, but and you lick your teeth. Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, it feels so weird.
It feels so weird. Yeah.
It's weird how quickly you get used to like just having train tracks on your you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you get them off, like, this is weird. Like, no, you lived your whole life before these braces with smooth teeth. But God, it also just feels so good. Your mouth feels so much less crowded. 3 years. Oh, damn.
Yes. I had them for a long time. Really long time. I had really crooked teeth. And 3 years, yeah. And 3 years seems like a million years.
It's like a quarter of your life
because you're younger, right?
Yeah.
So
it's so much more.
Right.
Yeah, let's curb that one there because we can go on a
Okay, all
tangent.
right, I will. Yeah, but you get the little rubber bands in your mouth, and it's eating. It gets stuck in there. It's like gross. You can't brush under there. So I mean,
That's a good day. That's definitely a good day.
proclivity towards bad breath. Yeah, no one wants to make out with you in 8th grade or 7th grade. Is there any advancement in technology with braces?
Invisalign. Invisalign is like it's huge. That's a huge advancement.
I know somebody who has Invisalign, and it just looks like they have braces. I don't know if I'm missing something. Or...
No, Invisalign isn't the clear braces. Invisalign is like, did you get a retainer after you had braces?
Yes.
Like a clear. That's what Invisalign is basically. Is like you get a series of those clear retainers where over time they get straighter and straighter. So like your first one is like an insignificant change to your whatever your baseline is, and then like every few months it gets a little bit tighter, and over a period of a couple of years.
And the reason why you would get that is purely cosmetic, right? You don't want to have it is weird. If you see an adult with braces, it's weird.
Right. It's interesting though, because at that point you'd have to think that it's just cosmetic, and somebody like that's a big sacrifice to make because that it's like abnormal as an adult to have braces.
Yes.
But you're like, I'm willing to sacrifice the next couple of years.
Right.
People are like, oh my God, they have braces because
I almost respect it. If they're a young adult, because maybe obviously it's not your choice when you're a kid. Your parents do it. So their parents didn't do it, and they were like, all right, I'm 25. I'm doing it. I need it.
Right.
So I respect it, but also it's just very, very noticeable if an adult has braces. It just stands out. But the day they get them off, best day ever.
It's a great day. You know what else is a good day?
Whose day was that? Was that your day, Sean?
That was mine. Day you get
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. I never really gave a second day, but I guess the NFC Championship, AFC Championship day.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. So my I'll say my third day then. In a similar.
When we're coming on the braces, many of you just got braces off, and he's way more excited about them than when I was young and got them.
You're smart.
I was one of the first. I got braces in 4th grade, which was early, and I actually remember like before getting them on, I was like almost excited in a weird way, and then immediately when I got them on, I was like, no, fuck this. This is terrible. I hate this. And for the next 2 years, I was miserable. But I can relate to that.
Okay, all right, you're up.
So a couple years later, day you get your driver's license is like one of the greatest days of all time. Like you don't know what the meaning of independence is until you have your driver's license.
Agreed.
Do you guys remember like your first drive without your first legal drive without anyone else in the car?
Yeah, I got lost.
Did you?
So easy to get lost.
Yeah.
We were at the age where it's like you kind of print out the MapQuest directions, but then if you miss a turn, they don't reroute.
Screwed.
Yeah. I don't remember my first one.
I remember feeling I was getting away with something, being like, oh, like feeling like it wasn't right. But just like putting it, throwing a CD and just like drive around with the boys. And like that was a thing to do. It was like, all right, let's go on a drive, or let's go to McDonald's, but let's go to the McDonald's that's like an hour away, just to get out. And you look forward to it for so long and you finally get it. And like, I think that's one of the things that does end up like living up to expectations. But I have my license now. I'm actually going to be like out and about and independent.
Yeah,
and you actually are.
It's a huge shift in your life. All I think about this conversation though is I failed the written test twice and the physical test 3 times.
I failed the written test too.
Really?
I just didn't study. I never.
I was arrogant.
They're tricky. They like trick you with that.
That barely passed. Yeah.
I had a stupid ass question. I still remember it. It was, do you want to be reserved or energetic or something? I guess I don't remember specifically, but it was a multiple choice for
emotions.
It was 4 emotions, and it was which one do you want to be? And it was like reserved, and I put like focused or something. It was something tricky, and it has more to do with studying like the material that they give you to study. But then the actual driver's
their
test,
way of like finding disciplined kids that are like disciplined.
I mean,
like
there should be driver's tests. There should be driver's tests.
Argue that.
Do you guys think you should retake the tests like at a certain age? Because I sure as hell do.
Yeah.
Dude, I ever driving around with my grandmother, and we were leaving the grocery store. I'll never forget it. We're leaving the grocery store, and we're just going down the road, and she turns right because like she thinks that's like the next road. Next thing I know, we're like hopping over railroad tracks, like like the cars like going like in the air I'm just sitting there like, Grandma, I don't think we're on the road anymore.
I think that's like part of being old. I think that's their right. Because like
Dude,
almost
my
every time you see a terrible driver, they're
dude.
super
But
old.
I also heard a story about some guy that got freaking killed because some dude, when you're old, when you get old, your reaction time slows down. That is a scientific
Amen.
fact. Your vision goes, your hearing goes. You're behind a 16-ton murder machine, and we can't just test you once a year to make sure you're good. I think that should be instituted.
Dude, my grandpa
I
went into
understand.
oncoming traffic. Hacker, you know Germantown Pike, the mall's on your left and straight. You can go on
Oh,
the blue
no.
route. He went into he went straight, but he went into the oncoming where like you turn right to go onto the turnpike. He went straight into the oncoming traffic when he was driving me to
good.
basketball practice.
It's not good.
So you're
Of
right.
course,
I mean,
but
I like the idea of but what age? What would be the age? What would be like the 65?
I think like if you're pulled over, if you're caught driving erratically,
that's
then, like,
good.
all right, from that
That's
point
good.
on, you have to. But if you're like a 90-year-old person, you still have your wits and you're sharp and you're like still active.
But what if you're 46 and you get pulled over for erratic driving?
Yeah, I don't think this is just an age thing. It's like if you're a shitty driver, yeah, go back to driving school.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
I was just in Arizona for a trip and I got a fucking ticket, dude, a speeding ticket.
For speeding. Well, you're
Yeah.
a terrible driver. I think that's like I can say that without offending you. You're the worst driver of all time.
I'm not a good driver.
You are a pretty distracted driver.
I'm not
I think you
focused.
missed.
I'm not
I think
focused.
last time I was in Charleston, you missed like a turn like 6-7 times. Shelby can attest to that.
I take driving like for granted. Like it's just like walking for me. So I don't, because I don't know, I'm doing something else. Like I'm listening to something or talking to someone or thinking about it. So I do have a Tesla now, which very much helps. And B-May, actually, Pecker's never been in the Tesla, but you drove it when you visited me. What's your review on it?
It's exciting. We're not there yet to like complete because I'm looking forward to driverless cars. Part of because I don't want old people driving anymore, and part of it because it's a cool idea. We're almost there. It's not perfect. I'd say we're about 70% there.
All right. Well, I'm a little disappointed in your review because when you were
I
driving,
was gonna say you're like
when you were
insulting
driving
his
it, you were
baby.
when you were driving it, you were like, "This is amazing. This is awesome." Like you loved it, right?
I mean, yeah, for like at that point when I was able to do it, yeah, it was great. But like I guess I have a big goal.
You're thinking bigger picture. You're thinking
Yeah,
society, old people.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, for me, it's safer for me. Would you agree with that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Because you were on the highway and you put it in on autopilot and you felt what it feels like to just put your hands on your lap, sit back, and let the car drive. Now
Yeah,
you still
great.
now you also said on the same trip I missed a bunch of turns because you still have to turn. You still need a person cognitively available behind the wheel.
Right.
But it's safer.
Yeah.
So
No, I
First
love it.
day of driver's license.
I'm all for it. Trust me.
yeah. First day driver's license, amazing day. Freedom.
It's also a great time of your
independence.
life. You know, you're like
Yes.
16, 17. It's just like everything is exciting. So
Everything is exciting. I agree. All right. Doc May. I think you're
All
up.
right. Definitely another top 5 pick in the draft. I think we're drafting days. Pretty easy. You know, this is like drafting like an offensive lineman. Like number one, like you're not going to go wrong. It's Friday, best day of the week. I want to do a study on my patients. I swear, like their subjective levels of pain are so much lower on a Friday than on a Monday. It's insane. I personally, I feel better on a Friday than a Monday. I don't know what it is.
How do you measure pain? How do you measure pain with your
Just subjective measures, 1 to 10.
okay. So that's
I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like Mondays it's like, you know, like 5 to 7. Friday it's like 0 to 2.
Really
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
that really throws off that whole scale as far as the chiropractic element, you know. But you're just asking them how they
That's
feel.
why that's just one piece of data. Like we don't
Right,
we don't like base everything off that. But it's still data. It's still like if you're like testifying in court, like
Yeah.
they will ask like what was the subjective pain scale that day. So it does have an effect.
Yeah.
Friday's
I mean-
the best though. Friday's amazing. Well, it's funny that Friday I think is universally known as the best day, even though a lot of people even though everyone for the most part
still
works
work Friday. Yeah.
right. So you would think, Sean, and not everyone is like loves work. This is not a shot at you, but like
Yeah,
you
I'm
would
trying
think
not
that
to be
Saturday would be
myself
the
here.
day. I think Saturday would be the day, but I think Friday is good because like you're still productive, but like maybe you end early or like you have the entire weekend ahead of you. Whereas Saturday, Saturday starts to leak into Sunday.
Right.
I love Sundays, but like some people get like Sunday scaries or whatever. But Fridays, like the whole, you have so many possibilities. The whole weekend is there. There's something, it's like weather seems to be better on Fridays. People like, I seem to like the way I look better on a Friday. I don't know. There's something about Friday energy that is real.
Like you said, like Saturday morning, typically most people like wake up, they don't have any major responsibilities, typically speaking, so Friday is like a free day for them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I was wondering if anyone was going to literally interpret best
if
days.
It wasn't taken
picking a weekday.
Yeah. If it wasn't taken before my last pick, I would have had to, it needs to be said. Friday
is off the board now.
Yeah. Off the board. The big board.
There's also that great account on Instagram. I don't know if you guys follow it. Friday Beers.
No.
Oh, Doug O'Neill always sends me like I guess they do like clips. They like put together.
They're hilarious. Like every one of their videos, like it like meshes, it like takes like a movie scene and like meshes together like pop culture and like their own inside jokes actually, but like it's hilarious. I would definitely
What's the
give them a
premise?
follow.
It's about Friday.
It's like the boys getting together for beers.
Just like getting excited for Friday. Yeah, right. And they always have like a great like mashup like music song. Like it's always really good.
If I had to pick the best day, I understand. Yeah, Friday. If for me as the entrepreneurial angle, I would say Monday or whatever. But I don't, but I get it. It is a great day. It's the day you go hardest partying in college, probably. Because you sleep in and then you get to sleep in again the next day.
Right.
So it's like, there's more time to get yourself together. Friday, good day. All right. I'm up.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you guys want me to go business, politics, or history?
Let's go history.
History? All right. I'm a total, I love that you did the July 2nd one, the July 4th one. I nerd out on history. I know everything about World War II. I've gone through it, but my new one now is the Civil War. And my day is the election in 1864 when Abe Lincoln won for the second time during the Civil War. Let me tell you why. The guy that was running against him was a huge favorite, like a couple months out. His name was George McClellan. And he was a general for the army, and he was like about to win the war like 3 times, but he had all this like military training, and he kept like pussying out. He kept like, should have attacked. He was kind of like a safer general, followed the guidelines, didn't really want to like attack. And he was running for president as the Democrats. And if he would have won, and it was now right before the election, Grant and Sherman had a big victory that changed the public to basically reelect Lincoln. But if he would have won, dude, I would be living in a different country. He was very much for, let the South have their own country, man, whatever. Like, let's go to the table. Let's negotiate. That was kind of his platform. And for the people in the North that had kids die and were sick of the death and the turmoil, this was the first time cameras were really becoming part of the culture. So there, people were seeing pictures of Gettysburg and Antietam and down in Mississippi and Vicksburg, and they're like, oh shit. So like the public was getting a little like, so if you would have won, there would be a border on South Carolina, most likely, and who knows what would happen with slavery,
or just like everything is different then.
No, slavery is the most interesting one.
Sure.
Because
that's not what I mean, but yeah.
I mean, they would have let them keep that, because that was the main reason for what the South was fighting for, because of economics and all that stuff. I mean, it's different at a different time, but like there was like studies that said like they're not as smart as us, so they're justifying it and stuff. Like who knows how time would have progressed if
how long would have taken?
Who knows, man?
Right.
And I'm just, oh my God, it was close. It's crazy because you look back at Lincoln and you think, you don't know a lot about history, the President's Day, Washington, Lincoln, they're perfect. Little things could have shifted that would have changed everything. And if you look at modern day politics, it's always like 50-50, 48-48. Like I honestly think one of the things that helped Biden this time around was like the election day was a beautiful weather day, and a lot of people went out, and more people was like for the Democrats. I swear, I think that has like a tiny effect.
I mean, weather's typically different, like depending on where you are. So
no, across the country. No, look back on it. This election in 2020, it was a beautiful day across the country, sunny across the entire country. It really was, and more people like Democrats or something. My point being that little things shape elections, which shape history, and the fact that he won that one, dude, it kept the country together. And then I also think the fact that Lincoln got shot helps his legacy so much because he gets, who knows, he just ended perfectly, won the war, 2-time elected president, Emancipation Proclamation, and then he died and everyone mourned it. So I was saying the day he got elected, the whole country would be different if McClellan would have won the election. And I've been obsessed with the Civil War lately. I won't nerd out on it more. I've learned so much about it. And do you guys think this is interesting? I like to watch the YouTube videos where they show the battles and they show like little blue and red lines and they show like how they move around the map. I get fascinated by that, nerd out on that because it's like a sports game and it's a strategy and tactics, and you can see how they like move their flanks and have their backups and then go around and stuff. And I've been nerding out hard on that lately. But 1864 presidential election, Abraham Lincoln's win.
That definitely shaped the rest of the history of the U.S.
Yeah, and it was so much easier to say, we don't want to fight. Just you can have your own country. It takes balls, and it's very American. It's a great part of our history that we decided to stay together. And another thing that's interesting about it is it literally took like 80 years reconstruction. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine I kick your fucking ass, and then I get up and I'm like, all right, let's go play 2-on-2. We're on the same team.
Right.
It's awkward. It's awkward to beat somebody, murder somebody, kill somebody, destroy somebody, and then you're like, all right, we're one country, right? It's awkward, and we had to go through all that. But that's my day. I nerd out on history a little bit.
I like it. All right, so I guess this is my last day, right? I'm looking at my list. I mean, this is near and dear to, you know what? I'm going to say Christmas Eve.
Okay.
I think Christmas Eve is like the best day of the year because my family's Icelandic, so like most of the celebration happens on Christmas Eve anyway. But there's something about like Christmas Day is, of course, great. The day before, it's like usually you're with your friends for a little bit before, then you see your family, and like you're not working. I don't know. There's something about the vibe of Christmas Eve itself that is great. There's so much, even as a kid, there's so much excitement. Do you remember trying to go to sleep on Christmas Eve? It was like impossible.
Yeah.
So much anticipation, like the unknown of what's under the tree. If you're going to get whatever you want. But for even today, Christmas Eve is my favorite holiday. It's when we do like our big celebration. Yeah, family gets together. It has been and will continue to be forever.
Doc May, let me ask you a question. Me and Hecker debated this previously. Santa Claus, do you like the idea of lying to your kid's face? Or do you...
If you put it that way, no. But I mean,
he's being serious about this. He's being serious.
I mean, I see both sides. I think it's an interesting conversation, but let's just lie to our kid and tell them these falsities about physics and expectation. Like, it's just a big fat lie that society goes. That's what it is. Is it good or bad?
But you lie to you lie to your kid a little bit every day. You know,
what else?
Like you don't like a family member dies, cancer kills. Like you got to soften the blow for them a little bit. I think Santa Claus is just like an extension of that, and also like there's always
Santa Claus is an extension of someone dying of cancer.
No, it's like if you keep a child
of soft little blows, and there's always been myths and legends throughout all of history.
You're justifying,
that's important for like teaching kids about the world, like myths and legends. Like it's been around forever. I think that's an extension of that. It's been passed down. Another myth. Another legend. It's also good to get kids to behave well.
That's a good point. Think about how miserable. If so you're trying to be like, what are you, stupid? There's no, this doesn't exist. It's like he's like a 4-year-old, like, oh, That's terrible,
Yeah.
dude. Like your whole purpose in life is to have your kids be happy. Like you're not lying to them. This is a victimless lie. Like you're doing it to keep the magic alive.
Right.
It's a tradition.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
I get it.
I know that you're being like it's a little bit tongue in cheek what you're saying, but
I'm just saying it is a bull-faced lie.
sure.
but-
All right,
But-
Sean. So,
There's a lot of it.
all right, Sean. So your 5-year-old son goes out and plays basketball, and he fucking sucks. Like he's terrible. After one game, you're just going to look at him and be like, "Yeah, you're terrible today. Like
Give it up.
you let the team down. Like you perform terribly. Like if you don't tell him that, are you lying to him? Like
Now,
I think
Now-
you're drawing too much of a black and white here.
okay,
Dad,
but,
do you like
okay,
my
but-
do you like
okay.
my picture, Dad?
But basketball and
terrible.
basketball and drawing are lessons in like pushing forward or improvement or confidence. One is a made up man from the North Pole who comes in down your chimney. Like it's not saying how well you are at basketball, maybe saying if he's really bad, maybe pushing him in a different direction towards art or something else, or he just needs to practice more. There's lessons there. There's lessons in practice. There's lessons in confidence. There's lessons in, I did something bad. Now I need to not be down on myself and work towards improvement. There's actual parenting lessons in those. In this magical fat white man from the North Pole, it's not exactly the same thing as far as parenting and lessons and drawing and being bad at basketball. So I get what you're saying. And then also, but the fact that society is so into it, it is a dick move to just tell them it's not real.
Right.
And then
At
they
this
go to
point-
school. Yeah.
at
I
this
mean,
point,
I'll play along.
If you remove Santa, you're removing a certain level of happiness from the world.
Like innocence,
at this
yeah.
point.
Right.
Innocent,
So,
yeah.
So much fun.
that's the angle I'll buy. It is fun. It is exciting. But I almost, if you look at it from the angle that you were talking about, the bull-faced lie, why not just lie to the kid? Let him tell them they're great. Like, I don't know. I don't know if my kid sucks at basketball exactly how I'll approach it. It depends just depends, if they have one arm, I'm not going to push them towards basketball. If they're just haven't practiced enough or they haven't hit their growth spurt, they're different. It's different than Santa Claus.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I mean, it's weird to lie. But also, then here's the other argument for Santa Claus. Maybe is it's like I don't ever have the memory of believing in Santa Claus because I don't know. I just figured it out. I'm not fucking stupid. So like, what am I, stupid? Like, so I remember literally 3 Christmases. I remember playing along with it. I wanted these Star Wars toys, and my grandpa was like, "That's expensive," and I was like, "Oh, the elves will make it." I was just fucking with him.
Yeah, right.
But so I don't have the memory of believing in it, but there's something to throw this curveball at your child to have them work on their like logic and reasoning abilities as well as their communication with adults and stuff like that. It's an element of
And
parenting.
yeah. And you know what other utility for it might be, like, shit, like Santa's not real. Like, make them like be critical and like think about the
Like
world
social
and
intelligence.
not be so naive anymore. So maybe that's the benefit of it.
I buy that element of it.
But also
Critical
understand like with
thinking.
everyone here, like is in a like there's a bit of like emotional intelligence there. Like everyone in my whole life has just been lying to me, and then they're like, oh, but I understand.
Exactly. Like I didn't yell at my mom and my grandpa and get pissed about it. I was like, oh,
And you probably played along for Craig. You know what I mean?
exactly. I played along for my
So,
little
like,
brother. Exactly.
It's part of it.
It's part
It's
of it.
not
So
as
it
black
is,
and white as you're just bold-faced lying. There's a lot that goes into it.
it is a
Right.
bold-faced lie, but the emotional intelligence element, it is a good part of society. I think all societies, little things have little elements. You want to know what I think about Halloween? I think the reason it exists so much in society is it's a great opportunity to meet your neighbors. And that's like one of the reasons society has kept it around. It's like know your neighbors a little bit. And I do think there's too many holidays packed up at the end of the year, but they all fit, and Santa is part of growing up, and everyone can relate to it. You know, my relationship with Santa went in the 50s and now this in the 2020s. It's something that's just part of growing up a little bit.
It's almost
But
like
it's interesting.
it almost could be and Jordan Peterson talks about this, how like men and like society lack a rite of passage today. So maybe learning Santa Claus is fake is almost like the best thing we have is like a rite of passage. Not
is a good
not,
one.
not into it, don't hold it yet, but like you're starting to like think critically and not be so naive anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And as a parent or a teacher, if you're judging the person, the kid, it's a great opportunity to learn more about them. Are they somebody who cries and freaks out, or are they somebody who adjusts and doesn't want to mess it up for their younger siblings? It tells you something about who this person might become, how they handle that situation. So
Potentially, yeah.
I like it. I mean, we'll see.
You're into it now. You're into it now.
I love you, Santa. But yeah, Christmas Eve, good day. All right.
Brian.
Doc May Diet.
All right, last one. Definitely a different interpretation for Best Day, but I got to go with Mac Miller. Released the Best Day Ever mixtape,
Nice.
March 11th, 2011. Some really good songs on that. This song definitely took a different meaning as the years went on, but Donald Trump, I like that song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Definitely a good song. The BDE bonus track is like the song Best Day Ever, but just like mixed, really good.
I love the interpretation, by the way. Just it's an album called Best Day Ever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
using it for that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Some other good ones. I'll Be There and like Life Ain't Easy. Life Ain't Easy is like singing about like being like an old man, how he's gonna be like a cool old man with all the cool stories on the kids' porches.
Mac Miller
It's a good album or a good mixtape.
That's tough. Looking back, it becomes a pretty sad song. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that yet.
Mac Miller was cool as shit, man, and he had his moment. What year did you say that was?
2011.
He was awesome then, and especially for kids in high school. Like, he was like a high school kid, and all his music videos very much portrayed him. I think he had a song called like Senior Skip Day. He's very much like a high school, like suburban high school oriented rapper, and he was good, man. He was good.
He was good.
Damn, he died. I think he died of
Ariana Grande screwed him up.
Yeah, was it? Here's the
OD, didn't he?
Well, no, actually, that was where I was going to go. So he definitely had issues with drugs and addiction, but I think the story was that he got a bad hit of fentanyl mixed in with something.
Yeah, it's an overdose.
No, I'm saying it wasn't an overdose.
So was it intentional or not? Is the question.
Well, is any overdose intentional? I mean, some are.
Yeah,
it's like a suicide. If you write a suicide note,
Wait,
and
what
you
do you
overdose.
What do you mean that's not? What do you mean that's not an overdose? Of course it is. That's how. Because you took
because he didn't overdose his amount of drugs that he took. He
like knowingly.
got a bad hit.
He died because he took too much fentanyl.
No, I think it was mixed in. It was like a bad hit. It was more like a bad beat rather than it was an overdose. He didn't take too much. He got a bad.
Are you sure that he wasn't? It wasn't because like nobody's intentionally taking fentanyl. So
right,
he probably
that's
was
what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, but he died because he had an overdose of fentanyl. Probably.
Right.
I don't think.
So I guess the medical term might be an overdose, but I'm saying he didn't.
Oh sure. Okay. He
didn't
push the limits.
He didn't push the limits. He might have.
Well, I think that's
taken 3 Xanax, and he knows 3 Xanax are fine, or whatever the drug of is. But this day he did the same thing he did all the other days, but it was like a bad hit. So technically,
I think that's how most ODs happen, though.
Well, a lot of ODs happen because they just they miscalculate. They just take too much. Like, he didn't take too much. It was like 2, 4, 6, 15. Right. So it was like a bad.
That's what's really dangerous, especially with like opiates and heroin, is like a lot of it now has fentanyl in it, and a tiny little bit goes obviously way too far. So that's what happens with a lot of, like, most people aren't like, most overdoses aren't because they're like, oh, I took this much, let me take a little bit more, then they reach a breaking point, because like you do build up a tolerance over time. Usually it's like an accidental, oh, I didn't know there was fentanyl, I got a bad, like you said, a bad batch of something.
Really? I thought traditionally most overdoses were just heroin, and you get addicted, you do too much, and then one night you just do too much because your tolerance has gotten so high that it overtakes the body.
I mean, I'm sure that happens a lot too, but
that wasn't like a bad hit.
A really big problem, right?
Yeah. I heard, you hear like China produces the fentanyl, and they're trying to like kill Americans by like putting it in it. You guys ever hear that?
Well, fentanyl's like really useful in hospitals. It's like a very powerful painkiller. But they obviously are in like very scientifically, like making sure that it's diluted
Right.
the right amount, and they're giving you just, they spend a lot of time on those calculations versus like, here's a bag of drugs. Go.
Does
shoot it up yourself.
anybody take fentanyl for like on purpose for fun?
I'm sure like some people, not many.
Dude, I remember, I'll never forget this in college. We had a seminar and it was about date rape drugs. And what was it called? Like GBO, or there's like a technical term for
Roofies or
date
whatever.
rape
I don't know.
Roofies. All right. So roofies. So, you hear about roofies and it's like you drop it in a girl's drink because you're trying to date rape her or whatever. But the people in this video that they had us go attend at Westchester was the people were taking roofies like to party. And I always thought that was funny that, I never knew roofies were
like recreational.
Recreational roofies. I never heard of that. And this was the first time I heard of it. And I was thinking, if this was to educate college kids about the dangers of it, you just taught me a new recreational.
Right.
Oh, how cool is that? We got to try some roofies, man. But RIP Mac Miller.
Yep.
Good. Damn, I always thought he honestly was under the impression he killed himself.
And it may have been intentional, but
we don't know.
He was fentanyl, right.
I was under the But I mean, young, rich, some struggle with addiction. But there's people who struggle with addiction that don't die. I mean, I don't know, Charlie Sheen,
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, people go through addiction and then they might like age quickly and be in poor health and die early of natural causes, or they might get sober. But the type of addiction that Mac Miller had, I don't think was a fatal heroin addiction. I think he just came out with a new album recently after that happened. Or like,
what do you mean the type of addiction? If he was addicted to opiates, it's like an occupational hazard at any point in time. You know what I mean?
Right. But there's cases, many, that people live a normal life or they overcome it. Not everyone, I feel like everyone who gets addicted to heroin either goes dead sober or dies. I don't think that's the case with painkillers. There's an in between.
It's the same thing. Like,
it's not the same thing. Xanax and heroin
isn't a painkiller. Xanax isn't a painkiller, but like Percocet is. Heroin is basically like synthetic opiate.
Percocet.
Yeah, Percocet is like a painkiller. Xanax is like a anxiety.
Percocet leads to heroin.
Right. It's essentially the same drug. It's like it's a cheaper version of like the same type of high.
I just don't think Mac Miller was like a heroin junkie in the corner with like I think he was kind of definitely need to get under control, but he just put out an album very recently before he died. I don't think he was.
A lot of artists do that though.
Yeah, how would you possibly know?
Lil Wayne is fucked up all the time. Purple, sipping perp and shit.
Codeine.
You never know. Lil Wayne probably came this close to dying at some point. You don't know that.
Demi Lovato,
right?
Like a couple times overdosed and almost died. It's like, I don't think it works that way, in my opinion. I don't think it's like, he has this type of addiction. And if you're like dabbling with that stuff, it doesn't take probably much to get you from one to, being in a corner shooting up. Like,
I don't know.
Nobody's
we don't
above
know.
that.
I think there's levels. And
so what's your point?
My point is that Mac Miller got a bad beat, and it was like a tragedy. It was similar. I think it's more like a car crash. But obviously, don't do the.
It's like a car crash if you're driving with a blindfold. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting yourself seriously.
He was putting himself in a situation. Right.
If you're doing all these really hard drugs, then it's part of, you're much more likely for this to happen. But it's terrible either way. But it's a good pick.
So he's close. He's closer to like a Len Bias than like somebody like just like somebody on the subway in Philly who just like doing drugs.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he wasn't doing that bad.
Gotcha.
Well, because he had,
none of us really know. None of us really know all the details.
Like,
less about the money. I mean, money doesn't tie to it directly.
Yeah, but you could it does if you're you could be at your home doing this. Like, what's the difference between somebody shooting heroin in their comfort of their own mansion versus on the street? Like, who's to say one of them's doing better than the other? The one just happens to have made more money.
Right. That's why I'm saying money's not a factor.
But it sounds like it is. Like he obviously was doing these drugs. So like, how does that make him different than somebody who was doing the drugs in like torn up clothes on the street?
Well,
because
because I think he was smart enough to be monitoring it a little bit. I don't think he was out of control in his own mind, popping pills, waking up. I think he was on the level of, all right, I got to do the album today. Then I'm going to do this. Then I got to do this interview. Then I'm going to get fucked up tonight, chill with the boys. Like, I think he wasn't in a state of mind where he was just drugs.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could have been. Who knows?
Who knows?
He could, also, again, it's a good pick. It's a good pick.
Thanks.
Worst day ever.
Back to the mixtape.
Yeah.
Oh man. I wonder if there's any heroin addicts out there that just are living a normal life and they do it every other weekend just for fun. I don't know, maybe.
Probably not many.
But I guess that wouldn't make him an addict, but yeah.
All right. You guys want me to go business or politics?
Business.
B-May, what do you want?
Sure, business.
All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out my Allow Media personality because, all right, the best day ever is, and B-May, you're going to get here soon with your course. It is when you sell something and it's the first time you sell it to a stranger. The first time you sell a product and the day that you get a sale for your business and it is a stranger that buys it. That is the most amazing feeling. When I first started selling Notre Dame shirts and stuff on Shopify, I would Google the people's address. I would look up their house. I was like, why did this person buy from me? It's the coolest feeling to have somebody buy from you. That now, if it's your mom or your grandma or your cousin or something, that's not what I'm talking about. The day that you get that sale from somebody who bought something from you, whether it be a course, a product,
they found it themselves. Like they've right.
They didn't buy it because they knew you. They bought it because they want the product, and that's obviously the route. If you're selling something, you want to not just sell to your friends and family because it's a flawed market analysis.
You're gonna run out,
yeah, exactly. And maybe if they're the target market, you can get their opinion on it. But if it's your mom, oh my god, great, I'll buy it. It obviously not going to last either.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, I used to obsess over Hacker. You remember when I was selling Notre Dame shirts and very early on, and somebody made a purchase that lived in your apartment complex.
Mm-hmm. We hand delivered it.
And we hand delivered it. And we knocked on their door and we're like, hey, you buy a Notre Dame shirt? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, oh, it's right here. He's like, thanks, man. Like, get the hell out of my house.
He was so confused. I didn't used to be that confused, but then looking back,
it is confusing. Imagine you order hair
guys. Right.
Yeah, right. Imagine you order hair gel from some website that targeted you an Instagram ad, and some guy knocks on your door and is like, you order hair gel? Are you UPS or like what?
Amazon? Like, what do you work for? Yeah.
He probably that made him probably reconsider like how commerce works now. He's like, wait,
what?
Like, are these ads now appearing because like the business itself is located close to me? Like, and he like probably had an existential crisis.
It was a freak. Now I wasn't running ads at that point. He was just following my Notre Dame account. It was organic, but it was just such a coincidence. Most of the sales were in Indiana for that. It was just such a coincidence. Now, today, I have so many sales that like someone could literally order something like down the street. I would never know. But I was at the stage where each sale was this like glorious thing, and I would research the person that bought it. I would obsess over them. One time I was
pretty cool.
For this little stretch, I was selling Dave Matthews Band shirts. I went to the concerts and sold them around the shirt, but I did it online for a little bit. And I lived in Elk Grove Village from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade outside of Chicago. Some of the best years of my life. Some girl, her name was Elizabeth Trangali. She was like the girl who got big tits early. She was like this hot girl in middle school. She bought a shirt, and that blew my mind because I was wondering. It wasn't because it was me, because my face was nowhere on this. It was nothing about Sean Lowry. And I was just wondering, is there something subliminal about the way I put this up online it was just weird. But I was looking at every person that bought it, and it's the next level of your business to even these people, a couple people that made comments today. It's pretty cool. It's cool when someone comes the day that you do something and someone comes to it that comes because of the thing, not because of you. That is a great day in entrepreneur's life. And that's my answer.
I
Cool.
love it.
Yeah.
Good
it's
picks. I think good picks all around.
Yeah. I agree.
Any like honorable mentions? Anything that wasn't said?
I said Thanksgiving, and for one
Yeah.
sentence, it's my favorite holiday because
Turkey
it doesn't
bowl?
have any gifts, no presents.
Yeah.
There's no. I hate presents. I hate the whole world of giving gifts. I don't know why. I
Because-
I like to share love and acknowledgement with people in my life. I'm not against showing love. I just don't like some fucking calendar to tell me when I need to give someone a present.
Sure.
Hecker, what about the day your child's born?
I was wondering if you were going to say
Yeah.
that.
Like that was going to be the joke was going to be the delivery there. Like, oh, right. And then also like when your kid's born. No, of course. Actually, I would argue like maybe the day after. For like it's a lot. I mean, obviously, it's like the happiest moment of your life. It's also very stressful leading up to it.
Right.
It's like for me, it was hard to. I would get so in my head, like, oh my god, this is like this huge, obviously a huge deal. Not even just having a child, but like the process, like the medical procedure of a child being born. And then I was like, but then I was getting so worked up. I was like, but everyone in the world was born. Like billions of people were born. So like this happens all the time. It just seems when it's so personal, it seems like my wife.
You're so zoomed. Yeah, you're so zoomed in. You're so zoomed in. If you just zoom out a little bit, like all right. Like
there's also a 9-month buildup.
Right. And then and we knew like my wife had to be induced, so we knew when it was going to happen. So we had like a week leading up to it, and then like I was feeling great. And then like the day of, I never get like anxious or nervous. I started getting like super, super anxious and nervous and excited, but just like a lot of emotions. And then the next day where like, I know that baby's safe, wife is safe. And it's hard to put into words, but
so the day after. Okay.
But also the day she was born.
What about the day you find out you're pregnant? Because I'm kind of around that stage. I mean, I'm recently married and we're not trying like,
that was that's really exciting. It's also it's hard. It's like less real, if that makes sense. Like it's very real, but like in the moment, like nothing changes right then. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like so exciting, and like if that's what you were hoping for, then that's amazing, and like you realize how fortunate you are, and then it's like okay, well now you see like you hear like a clock ticking in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, it's here. But that was also a good day. I was with you. I saw you. I saw Sean you were at my house the moment that I found out Lauren was.
Are you serious? I actually remember because Lauren didn't drink at the wedding because we were there for a wedding. But you don't you don't tell anyone right away.
No,
was.
I mean, she was like freshly pregnant.
Really? I don't know if you ever told me that.
We didn't find out like
when do you usually start telling people?
I think they say like 3 months in or so because a lot can happen.
What's the logical reason for that? Is if you do have a miscarriage, right?
Right. I think so.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that you want to jinx it. I just like you don't want to share that news and then share it, which is and that that's tough for anyone else to do that. So
another question about that. When did you start thinking about a name?
Like immediately. Because
there's no reason like even a 10-year-old could start thinking of a name. I mean, I guess part of it's once you're married or once you have a person you guys could start discussing it. There's I mean, how much? I
guess once we found out that Lucy was going to be a girl.
Okay.
Like when.
That's right.
It got like it was a little bit easier, but we had like it's exciting, right?
How long till you find out? 9-month process? How many months in when you find out the gender?
I think like 4 months in.
So about halfway.
And you can find out sooner through some like special genetic testing, but it's it's not. I don't think it's like a standard procedure. So they have to like do something else outside, and it's like I don't know, $5,000 or something. I don't know the whole thing. We found out. Yeah,
I think that's a big deal. I think some of the biggest moments in your life that you can't control are the gender of your kid and like the college you get into. Because imagine how different your life is if you go to 2 different schools.
You can control that, but way more than you can the gender of your kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also. I said just real quick, other honorable mentions. The first like crisp fall day, like after the summer, like the first day you get that crisp in the air is great.
You smell it in the air.
Yep. and it's kind of like football season. The
Mhm.
last day of school.
Oh yeah.
Like
I
in
was
the same
thinking
breath,
that. I was thinking
the
that.
first day of school also oddly is like great because, and then the second day is terrible. And then field day. I don't know if you guys had field day.
In school, just like you play outside. This girl Madeline said they were talking about the kids' name before they were even married.
Yeah,
My girlfriend likes to do that.
But here's the thing though, like, and I kind of mean this. Like, what if, we want to name your kid OJ, and then like the news comes out, or like Adolf? Like there could be, because people associate names with things, and
yeah,
like there could be something in culture that changes at a time. Or what if you named your kid OJ, and then like the next day OJ that happens?
Like there were so many names that like for one of us or the other was like a non-starter, and it's funny. It's like, oh, I knew like a Steven growing up, and like it would just it's out of the question. Let's not even go down that list. And like that, it's like guess who? You have like a list of names.
I feel like with a couple, because it's a couple decision. I feel like the approach is very important because I mean I've never named a kid, but I've named businesses, and it's similar. And the moment that the people involved arrive at it has to be the right moment, because you have to say something, or the partner has to say something, and then you have to both kind of agree in a moment. And if you're already in an argumentative zone, nope. It's timing. I feel like matters a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, those are good. Best days ever. So, all right, last segment here. We each are bringing a news story and discussing it. I want to go last. I call going last.
Okay.
I went first. So I'll go right in the middle. So B-May's got to start us off. Doc.
All right, cool.
May.
So everybody likes to try and play the stock market. There's like 1,000 Twitter accounts out there that claim to be like the stock geniuses and like figure out the trends and like the crypto world. Like people are interested in crypto, so I figured I'd kind of have something that relates to that. So there's been this Twitter account that has actually, like, I think since June, got like a 26% return on its investments. It's like a day trader. It buys and sells every day. It's outperformed the S&P 500. All like the top crypto accounts outperformed like Warren Buffett. And the name of the account is Mr. Gox, and it's actually just like a gerbil. It's literally a gerbil, like in like a little like.
Wait, are these your pictures?
It's a hamster den. Yeah,
no
there
way,
it is.
really?
There's Gox. Yep.
Awesome.
Let's go to the next one. Yeah, there he is. Yep, that's little Tesla sign in the back right corner. I guess like you see the buy sell. Like he just walks through different tubes, and I think whichever tube he walks through, and then goes onto the hamster wheel, that's like whether he buys or sells. And
that's awesome.
He's gotten like a 26% return. So the moral of the story is nobody knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to the stock market. It's all random. So
short term is random.
Right. Short term is random. Right. Day trading is random as hell. But this like Twitter account's like blowing up. Like nobody knows who's behind the account either. It's like a big secret. But like it's like real money. Like it's actually happening. But I just love that photo of like the computer desk with like Gox Capital.
I like that one. Yeah. I'd like to see him type in there eating the carrot. That's impressive. 26% is nothing to
Right.
Dude, beating the S&P, beating Warren Buffett, and you said since June. So like 5-6 months. I mean, it's basically a mockery of day traders. I mean,
day trading is gambling. It's
gambling, 100%.
Right,
100%
but it's
gambling.
And it's like I mean, I guess like you see these animals like there's like koalas or octopus or goldfish that will like they'll do the same thing. They'll like have them pick games.
It's all like the games in the
NFL season.
Yeah, you can do the same thing for sports gambling too.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty good tick there. That Mr. Dr. Gox is doing. That's awesome. I didn't see that.
I love that.
Yeah, people like to like. I have friends who like try to claim that like, oh, I made so much money gambling this year. Like, yeah, maybe you made money this year, but like over a lifetime, the professionals win like 51% of the time. Right. So you're not going to be a professional, which means even if you're really good, you're winning like 47 to 49% of the time. Guess what? That means you're losing.
Anybody for me who claims to be incredibly good at gambling or day trading, I immediately look a little down on them.
A little less credible.
Like,
but they're just having like.
Now that's why.
You can't.
That's why.
If it's for fun, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's why. If they claim that they are good at it, that's where the judgment comes. If they're doing it for fun, yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
I don't no judgment.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
it's just funny. It's just funny. Like, I knew the Bucks were gonna win. I looked at the forecast, and I saw the rain, and I know the ref doesn't like this right tackle. You don't. Right. They don't know. The players don't know. You don't know.
The Bucks on the West Coast.
I love the stories that like come out. Like I'll literally have this story sent to me, and it's like this didn't actually happen, but like you want to fade the Bucks tonight? Apparently Tom Brady is fighting with his wife. Like stories like that like come out. Like or apparently like the coach's son like failed in high school or something like that. Like that literally will like move the gambling line like a half point.
And the miscalculation in the individual's mind comes when they go on that basis and then they get it right, and then they give themselves credit for that, thinking that they are some type of brilliant person. Sure. Then they go looking for that the next time, and dude, it's a
hot hand fallacy.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not going to take that gerbil's advice, but
Mr. Gox, hey, I might.
You're lost, man. You're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
There's money to be made, Sean, and you're just leaving it there. But
yeah, you want to say at the bottom? You can follow me at the top, me and Mr. Gox.
All
right. So my news story. Did you guys see that the Zodiac murderer has been identified? I think they solved that case. It's been a cold case for 50 years.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you know the Zodiac killer?
Nope. All right. Kind of.
You don't. All right. So it's
just give me a synopsis.
So like the most notorious, one of the most notorious serial killers of all time, from I think like the 60s, I want to say 60s, 70s, maybe 1974 is when I think that he was like he killed a ton of people, and they made a movie about him called Zodiac. I'm surprised you don't know about it, but he would like
I've heard of it.
He would leave like cryptic clues behind with like different these like hidden messages and things like that. And it had been a cold case until I love the story because it's a team that they called themselves the Case Breakers. So it wasn't like actual police. It was like a bunch of, I think it said like 30 or 40 former cops or investigators like put together all this new evidence, and they identified it as some guy named Gary Poste, Posty.
That's the Zodiac killer?
But he's dead. He died 2 years ago.
Dang.
So like everyone like, oh, we found him, and everyone's like, oh my god, who? Like, tell us more. Like, oh, he's dead, but we're like, sure, it's him. Like,
how many victims?
I don't know. Actually,
like 40, 12, 80, like some like a lot, right?
And I'm looking it up now while you talk.
And the way that he got a name, and I remember people said Ted Cruz was the
37
Zodiac killer.
37.
Yeah, a lot of people saying that. 37.
And it's funny because it was a cold case, so just like blaming someone as being the Zodiac killer is funny.
Right,
dude. I've watched a lot of crime TV shows, and it seems like if you murder, and I believe this, if you murder,
you can't do it anymore. Yeah,
you're gonna get caught.
Dude, you know what is crazy? Because I do too. An overwhelming majority of like murderers end up confessing.
Really?
Like so many people confess to murder because they think that they're caught. When like it takes to be convicted by a jury. Like look at Casey Anthony; she was clearly guilty. You need to convince a jury. You need to have like eyewitnesses and put together all of this evidence.
Yeah.
So don't even talk like the people that I hate to say, but you know this case that's going on now with Gabby Petito.
Is that the van situation?
Yeah. So it's like all signs point to her boyfriend being the one that killed her, and like he has never talked to the cops, lawyered up, said I'm not cooperating at all, which is like shitty. But obviously this guy did it.
It's a better legal move,
right? 100. That's the only legal move because if you talk to them, so many people are like, well, I'll talk to him because I'll look guilty if I ask for a lawyer. Like, well, idiot, you are guilty, and they're going to get you to confess it. So, like, don't talk to him. But here's one thing about the Zodiac killer is that he was a Vikings fan, okay? And he died in 2018. So that means, like, logically speaking, the last time he watched the Vikings play would have been the 2017/18 NFC Championship game in Philadelphia that we talked about earlier, where they got mollywopped by the Birds. So, like, that's a nice little parting gift to know that if he was apparently a Vikings fan, and his last football memory was just the Vikings getting absolutely decimated.
what type
when they were
of,
like full touchdown favorites too.
After the Minnesota Miracle and the Super Bowl was in Minnesota, there's a lot of excitement there.
what type of evidence do they have?
I don't know. They said all I read was new forensic and physical evidence. So who knows? It's hard. Like, I don't think that you could do this today. Like, everything is filmed and there's so much digital evidence everywhere, like cell phone pings and this and that. But, like, back in the 70s, if you were not connected to somebody, like, nobody's going to place you here or there, then it's a little bit easier to get away.
Wouldn't it be so funny if they had the wrong guy? It's just like, that's my grandfather. Like, he's not a Zodiac killer.
My first thought was like, yeah, but we don't really know, and like, it could just be these people looking for a headline, like, it's him, it's him, it's him.
Yeah, it's weird how once someone dies, there's no case, there's no court case. Nope. It is kind of silly to do it, but people want to know the Zodiac killer. They should do a case. I guess he wouldn't be there to defend himself. Right. Two other thoughts on that.
Wait for the true crime doc, but
yeah,
I'm sure that there will be one.
One is like, dude, I am against murder. Okay, but
big of you.
yeah, bold, right?
Hot take alert.
Yeah, but imagine how sneaky cool this guy felt, knowing that he had a cool branded name and he was the topic of conversation, and everyone
how many times do you think you saw this movie in the theaters about him?
Dude, I mean, I would imagine a few times
every day. You'd have to think.
Yeah,
he's probably like, "Ooh, these people are terrified."
A lot of the time, serial killers are interested in fame, and you can't come out in your life. It's almost like he should have admitted it at the end or something. But I don't know how he died, whatever. But wow, what a sick fuck to want to kill all those people. But you said he left behind clues? Like what a sneaky dog. Almost. What a wild,
sick
smart.
Thing. Yeah, like crazy.
It's almost like, what if he didn't choose to murder people? What else could he have been really good at?
I think he found.
I wish they would have solved it. When he was alive, but I wish they would have solved it by like deciphering his clues. That would have been cooler if they could have like explained how everything. But what this leads me to believe is that was not the case. There was like.
Did you guys ever watch the show on Netflix called Mindhunter?
I watched the first season and
it's good.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, it's really good.
Got a comment here about the gerbil. The crypto gerbil hamster has better returns than most CRISPR I've ever seen all over the place. Thanks,
Mr. Vesta. Cox, baby, Mr. Cox.
One other comment. To the moon. One other comment on murder. I do think that it's easy if I had to, I don't know, to save humanity, murder one person and not get caught. It's easier to do if. It's usually the husband. It's usually someone who's connected. There's usually logic or some motive is one of the biggest ways that detectives solve murders. Motive, revenge, love, money. If I go try to find some sneaky way to kill someone in Nebraska, they're not going to suspect me. I feel like you could get away with it, but why would I do that? I mean, and that makes it harder. But the serial killer, it's kind of like that. There is most murders are revenge, anger, money. There's you can figure out why they wanted to do it. But if you're just sick enough, which is rare, to just want to kill it for the sake of killing, it's almost easier to get away with because it's harder to track.
There's no motive.
Right. All right. My turn.
Yep.
All right. I have a 20-second little news story. Actually, no. I have two. Now, my first one is just more of funny, and my second one's my actual one. Can I get away with that? Can I have two?
Sure.
It's your show.
All right. Here's my first one. This is a tweet recently from Justin Trudeau. Now, I want you to find the funny part. People across the country are lighting candles to honor Indigenous women, girls, and 2S LGBTQIA+ people who are missing and have been murdered. We must continue to work together, raise awareness, advocate to end this national ongoing tragedy. What's the funny part? It's a question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm working hard to find it. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, here's what my giggle I got from this is the 2SL
The acronym.
Dude, I thought it was LGBT.
Well, it has to be. I know that they're adding letters. I've never seen that.
I never saw it before.
Google it. What does it mean?
I have no idea.
Here, Google it.
But it's a wild to have 2 Q's in it. It's just so funny because like the jokes that a comedian would make is, oh yeah, I don't know about the Q, or like it is. Of course, I'm for all types of people, whatever. It's just funny when you start to group together and then you have LGB is cool, and then Q, and then T, and then it's like it's a joke. It's a joke on itself to make it look like this. 2SLGBTQQIA. Why is the 2 in the beginning? It's just I don't know. Did you look it up?
You throw the plus sign in at the end too. Doesn't help.
That includes like us too.
The catch-all, right? The plus is the catch-all. Like that's what you shouldn't have to add that many more letters.
So if they were getting some help from somebody in the comments.
I understand why they continue to add the indigenous.
Spirit.
Oh, Two-Spirit. Okay, I could see that.
What's Two-Spirit?
It's an indigenous. They said it's an indigenous like identification for gender identification. Do you know like what's going on with the indigenous? Sorry, this is not the right time to laugh, but the indigenous people in Canada, it's like awful. What's happening?
Like Native Americans, like Native Canadians, like that along the same type of.
Right, and there are these like schools for indigenous children that they're finding like hundreds and hundreds of like children's remains buried in these schools where they're like clearly being abused and murdered and just like covered up.
In Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Canada is known as like such a nice country, and clearly look how inclusive the president is. I would. What's the objective for murdering his kids?
I mean,
is this recent? Is it?
It's been going on for a long time. I think it's
really.
I know it's some churches like trying to indoctrinate people, and then that's what ends up ended up happening. But it's really tough. Is a really really terrible thing that's going on. So. Canada is known as this like super inclusive, happy place, but that's obviously not the case, especially in like central Canada, Alberta. That's kind of known to be a little bit less inclusive.
Yeah, I just thought the acronym. I don't even know the details. I respect all people, but there's some stand-up joke in there because there's already tons about the Q. It's just like a lot of. It's like the Q is like the L. It's just this whole. It's just. I get
the comedic angle for sure.
I read
it's
that.
It's getting longer too. It's just getting longer.
Well, it has plus at the end.
They need to make that catchier or rearrange the letter so it can spell a word.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. The catchiness of it. Like, okay, LGBTQ or FBI or things that sound well when they're abbreviated, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, MADD. If you're trying to spread an organization, you want it to.
It's bad marketing.
Catchy. It's bad marketing. Yeah.
Right.
So I just gotta give all that. But anyway, my news story is right here.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is trying to live forever. Is immortality even possible? Jeff Bezos thinks it is. Bezos is investing in a startup that is trying to reverse aging. First things first, is reverse aging even possible? Is it a thing? Can it happen? Scientists believe it can. They're trying to deep dive into our genetic makeup and zero in on the genetic code for staying youthful. In other words, scientists are trying to find the fountain of youth.
There's a couple angles to go with this.
People are worried about the COVID vaccine changing your DNA. It's a little bit more intrusive. I mean, that's
no. I mean,
just Bezos is so weird, man.
I mean, well, the first like fun question, which I think we should get to second, is would you want to live forever? But B-May on the health side, I have researched this a lot. I had somebody on my podcast who's an expert on CRISPR and gene editing, and I've learned a lot about it. And you're familiar with the subject, right, B-May?
Telomeres.
telomeres. So I take these pills every day now. I'm real into my vitamins. I got those little, like, those old people have like the Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday, because I was sick of taking. So I have those, and
Yeah, that's fine.
I've been really into my vitamins, and one of the ones I got was this. I just searched like telomere lengthener. But what telomeres are? Do you know what
What
they
is
are?
it?
Heather?
Is it NAD?
I don't know what NAD stands for.
What are you taking?
I don't know.
All right, good.
But it said it lengthens your telomeres. So telomeres are the ends of your DNA strands. And the best comparison to say what they are, it's like a shoelace. So a shoelace has that little plastic piece on the end that makes it be able to go through the hole. As long as the strand at the end of your DNA, the telomere, the shoelace plastic, is intact, similar to actual shoelace. Once that thing loses on the shoelace, you can't put it through the hole anymore. That's when you start to age and deteriorate and die. And as long as you keep your telomeres long, you can extend your life. Now, what's the best way to extend your telomeres? It is health, exercise, good diet, just of course.
All the stuff we know, right?
All the stuff we know. But if there's a hack to extending the telomeres, then you can extend your life. And dude, I mean, Jeff Bezos.
What about like disease?
So there's variables. Now, anything when it comes to the conversation about living forever, aging, you could always bust a fucking bullet in your head, right? You can't live through that. So
Right, but like, does extending your telomeres, does that that's assuming you don't get cancer or something, right?
Well,
Or does this somehow help defend against cancer?
it's a good question. I think
It probably,
do you know?
I would say it definitely has anti-cancer benefits as well.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, I mean, cancer is the most evil.
I'm not trying to poke holes. I'm just trying to understand.
No.
Is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
saying that like you're not going to get sick when you're older? Or is this saying like
So
assuming that
you just
Basically,
okay.
what it's trying to create, we wouldn't become immortal. Like we wouldn't become
Right.
immune to death. We would be amortal, which means
Okay.
you know, if we don't get hit by a truck or get hit by cancer.
That's why I brought up the gun thing, because it doesn't
Right,
mean you can't die. You can still get by a truck or shoot yourself in the head.
Which makes anxiety so much worse, knowing that like as long as you don't fuck up, you could live forever.
I mean, that's on you.
So-
That's
but
on
what
you if
about,
you're
like,
anxious
most,
about that.
Like most people don't die from like old age. You know what I mean? Most people die because they get
Natural
sick.
causes is rare,
Right.
but now most of the people that die of some type of thing, they're older. So
they're unable to like fend off.
This isn't scientific, but I think this is accurate. The body is more prone to those diseases once the telomeres start to wear away.
Okay.
Do you think that's accurate, B-May?
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, there is some research on really breaking down like genes, and that's what they found out, the telomere length. I want to live a very long time. Living forever would be a curse, but there's that book Tuck Everlasting. I don't know if you guys ever read it in school.
Mhm.
That guy, I always thought, why can't that guy shoot himself in the head? I mean,
Because it would be a much shorter book.
right.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
Then there's Groundhog's Day, where he actually does kill himself, but he comes back and wakes up in the morning.
Mhm.
That would be torture. I don't want to live forever where I shoot myself in the head and all of a sudden I wake up and I'm that would be, I do think there's a point where
That's pretty bad.
I might take, if I had a choice right now, that or mortality, I would think about it. But the best scenario is you live as long as you possibly can. What if every human decided when they die and there was some like very humane or proper way where you just go out into a field and I don't know if it'd be shoot yourself or whatever, but you decide when you die. That would be what I would want. I would want to live as long as I possibly can. And then, I might have a different opinion when I'm 206 and I feel like I've done everything I need to do, that I can choose. I want to die now.
That just changes the dynamic of literally everything we know.
Right.
Yes, it
If
does.
people can choose how long, it just flips everything on its head.
It does. So would you want it?
Yeah. I mean, if I would want it if it was like available to everyone. You know what I mean?
Why? What does that have to
Because
do with it?
I would love to like continue. I mean, I would take it either way, but I would much prefer it if like my daughter could live to 300 and Lauren could live to 300. All my friends, it's like all the people, you know what I mean? Otherwise, like you're just this 200-year-old guy with literally no connection to the living world anymore. Like you're not, what are you going to be making friends with? Like go to the bar and make friends with people when you're 200. You know what I mean?
Well, the
so,
element
like-
of that is how old you look and feel and stuff like that. Because if you are say 200 in your body, you can have a second life.
Sure, but I don't know that that's what's going on.
That's
here,
a lot.
right?
That's a lot on a soul. That's a lot on one human soul.
But I don't think that they're saying. Is that what
I
they're
don't
saying?
know.
Is like if
I
you
don't
do this,
know.
then you're gonna look like a 30-year-old, but be 300? Because that's like creepy. But I'd be on board
I
with
think
that.
it might be you're 200, but you look 74 or feel. I don't know. It's a lot of questions, but the science is starting to rise. And one of the things is like people might say like fuck those billionaires, but hey, I'm glad that they're doing the
Somebody's
research.
trying. Yeah.
And then there's also the morals question, and not even morals, because morals is like, oh, I'm so moral, but like the expectations of a human soul.
Ethical. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, if we have forever, then what's like, there's no like impetus to do something now. I think the fact that we know we have limited time is like a fire lit under the ass to actually get things
That's
done
what
while
Neil
we're here.
deGrasse Tyson was asked this, and because
That's what he said.
I'm deep in this topic. I'm real curious on this topic. And Neil deGrasse Tyson said, "If I can live forever, then what's my urgency today to go accomplish something?" Now,
Exactly.
my response is figure out a way to maintain the urgency and live forever.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
So if you map your head out to think that way, then damn, unstoppable.
Right.
Unstoppable,
It's
dude.
true.
I mean, I love business, so I love thinking about things in the terms of building something or creating something or finding markets, building it over time, nourishing it, and the factor of unlimited time is incredible. So I'm very interested. I love life, and
Yeah, I get your perspective for sure.
it's a very interesting topic. And this is a little off topic, but I thought one thing that was really fascinating when I asked the guy on my podcast about this was, height, eye color, those things are going to be able to. It's kind of like the scientific community is protecting the public a little bit by they don't want to give them choices to just the average person about these things. But I asked them about intelligence, and you know how you can't really define intelligence, street smart versus book smarts versus the ability to handle pressure. There's a lot of different ways to define intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
Who is smart? What is smart?
Right.
The genetic makeup to answer that question is identical. They can take Elon Musk's strand of DNA and then try to work towards duplicating it in a sense. But is that what intelligence is? I mean, yes. And then you obviously you want diversity too. You want the artists, you want the musicians, you want the human flaws. But there is they can take DNA and find people who have the same traits and then find the common characteristic and then work toward.
Right.
But if you do that for intelligence, it's like, okay, how? And that kind of makes humans. It's cool that you can't. And I said, well, what about IQ? What about an IQ score? And he said they're subjective. I mean, it's very human that even broken down to a science, you can't define intelligence. But I'm really interested in DNA and longevity of it, and I'm going to continue to research this topic. And the fact that the other smartest billionaires in the world are also doing it makes me think that this is a topic to continue to be curious in.
Yeah. If you want a problem solved, that's the guy you want. Like that's the guy with the resources that you want to get to have solve it. So
right, money, connections, and also intelligence and problem solving skills. So stay tuned. But I will live as long as I can.
It's deep, man. Going out on a limb there once again.
I'd
So
be
what I
willing
take away
to
from this
live
whole
a second
episode is
life.
that you
Murder.
denounce murder and that you will live as long as you can, which is a lot.
All right. Any we didn't say
Allow
throughout
me-
the we didn't say
I was
throughout the
about to
show
say
at
it.
all. Yeah,
I
allow
was
me
about to say,
to.
allow me to be the one to wrap this up because I do have to split. But this was fun.
It was fun.
All right, yeah, we'll see the reaction of this. We'll see what we do in the future. But all right. Allow me to end the broadcast. All right, peace out. Thanks for everyone who commented and listened. And see you later.